Hello. Now you better believe, with ears this big, you tend to be a good listener, and I hear lots of students saying that they're better at analysing poems than actually comparing them, linking poem A and poem B. Well, this video is going to be an antidote to that. In very simple steps, I'm going to show you how to forge and craft solid comparisons, several comparisons, with a view to getting you battle ready for the relationships cluster of the Anthology poetry question in the literature exam. And we'll start by just rolling out a solid paragraph, which is analysing and contextualising a piece of poetry. In this case, it's that great line from Belle Dame Sans Merci, that ballad about a knight's brush with love, where you've got pathetic fallacy, where the flora shapes the aura, if you will, where pathetic fallacy, the setting and weather, helps create mood. Lovely line from stanza 1, the sedge is withered from the lake and no birds sing. So we're going to have a quick run through why this is an amaze cakes paragraph before we start worrying our heads about creating comparisons between two poems. You can see I've got busy with my highlighter here to draw your attention to best practice in the point and the evidence. Pathetic fallacy, I've cited a technique there, and the fact that I have highlighted love, presumably a key word from the question, that's going to get a nod of approval from the examiner and all. Oh, I've got solid evidence there, and that's going to be appropriate evidence that's backing up my initial assertion about pathetic fallacy. On to the explanation now. I've started with an adverb, an evaluative adverb, compellingly. I could have used successfully or intriguingly. This is just making it sound like I'm casting a critical, judging eye over Keats's workmanship, and the examiner appreciates that. I've also name-checked the reader. You've always got to talk about the effect on the reader, and finally I've given my basic explanation that this pathetic fallacy creates a creepy or an eerie mood. Now here you can see that basic explanation from before is getting a leg up courtesy of that word because, and that word because is allowing me to deepen my explanation by looking at how a word, the verb withered, has helped to create that creepy mood. You've also got that last line there, love is a process that ultimately destroys us. I guess that's me just linking back more explicitly to the question. That multicoloured text on the left there, just summarising all that good stuff we've discussed. The final paragraph here is a contextual one. And frankly, it's complete with glitter and a bow. I mean, look at that gift for the optic nerve. Look at the first line there. The poem's opening scene echoes Keats's anxieties about his romantic relationship. What I've done there, the poem's opening scene, that's what I discussed in the first paragraph. So I'm explicitly linking the first paragraph to this contextual detail I'm going to roll out. And a verb like echoes or mirrors or reflects just serves to amplify the relevance and the interconnection between that first paragraph on language and structure and that second paragraph on context. Finally, you've got that last line, love, comma, then, comma. This is me just looping back to the question's key words. And this is a trick that my top set get a lot of mileage out of. It's not essential, but it's a good way of looping back to the question's key theme. So let's start forging comparisons between two poems. Now then, paste this top line onto the start of your paragraph and boom, instant comparison. FYI, I'm going to link this stuff on the Belle Dame to another poem, Valentine by Caroline Duffy, and that's not exactly a light-hearted chuckle fest of a poem either. I mean, it suggests love is this bitter hodgepodge of pain and sadness, with a side order of knife crime. And in this comparative or second paragraph, as my goofy chain picture implies, we're going to be forging more links here, yoking together or connecting Keats's La Belle Dame to Duffy's Valentine. Now, it goes without saying that the linguistic analysis here is splendiferous. I mean, it's A1 standard. But let's focus our attentions at what I've done to help demonstrate what the examiner calls a varied and comprehensive range of connections, because that is what determines the level 8 and 9 responses, if they can satisfy that part of the examiner's criteria, having a varied and comprehensive range of connections. Firstly, we're creating a link between the two poems in terms of the techniques that they use. Belle Dame uses pathetic fallacy and Duffy uses metaphor. Remember that daft onion image? And I'm just thinking how psychotically underwhelmed my partner would be if I pulled out a stinking onion as a Valentine's gift. I mean, no matter how clever and metaphorical I got in the explanation, I think she'd be wanging that thing at my head, and few could blame her. But why stop at one link between two poems in the comparative paragraph? Mr. Taylor here in NAF corporate speak is adding value by throwing in another comparison. This time though, I'm exposing the differences in the poet's points of view. Drain v pain. Keats seeing love as this draining impact on our lives, and Duffy seeing love as a focal point, a source of great pain and anguish.
Now relax, exhale, unclench. I'm not going to talk you through this one. I just figured I'd toss in a structural or formal comparison, complete with links if you're so inclined to read it. And over the course of the 4 main paragraphs that we've looked at, we've managed to forge 5 comparisons. 5 for 4. That's happy hour on textual connections. That's more than enough to make us eligible for those highest bands, the highest marks where you've got that varied and comprehensive range of connections. And finally, there's an optional introduction if you're so inclined. Personally, I don't feel they are essential at GCSE literature, but an intro can give a kind of pleasing structure to your essay. In 2 lines, you can maybe lay on 2 or 3 comparisons that the essay's going to explore. And I've got to be honest, I find these things easier to write when I've finished my essay. I leave a little bit of space at the start, and then when I've kind of done the essay, I've got a clear idea of those comparisons that I've forged.
Right, let's cut this rant down, let's clock off. We've looked at 3 main ways that you can compare poems. You can do it at the start of that first paragraph, you can also do it at the start and or the end of that comparative second paragraph. We've also looked at the kind of things you can link on. You can compare technique, you can compare poet's viewpoint, you can also compare on that key theme, the approach to that key theme from the question. You can do it with a minimum of fuss and muss. In fact, with a bit of practice, it becomes like second nature, it becomes like muscle memory. So, I'll leave you good people to your day. All that remains for me is to wish you the very best in that exam.